Ducks fans, are you ready? You are listening to the Ducks and Pucks podcast. This is the #1 home for Anaheim Ducks talk and analysis. Here we go.
Well, welcome to the show. This is your host, Mike Walters, along with my co-host, Eddie Richard, and we are finally back. I know it's been about a month since we did the last show. We got tons of things to get to with the Ducks. A bunch of signings of their free agents. Getzlaf's back, as you know, and just a lot of things going on. They started their little prospect camp. The Ducks just won their tournament game of the first one with all the rookies. In a wild game, which we'll talk about a little bit, and plenty of other updates to get to. But before we do all that, Eddie and I talk a little bit about what's going on with ourselves, get you guys up to date. We're both going on vacation before the season fully gets ramped up. Eddie, tell everybody what you've been up to.
An OnlyFans account, so if you guys want to subscribe, go ahead and do that. Just so kidding. No, I've just been work, going out, vacation. Going to Vegas for 3 or 4 days, so that should be pretty fun. It's just Vegas, but I always have a good time over there, so I'm looking forward to that. Had a first date last night that actually went pretty well. We went bowling, and you know what? I actually had my best time bowling last night in my whole entire life than like anything. So I'm glad that I didn't have that many gutter balls. So it was pretty cool. Everything was going well. Playing a lot of hockey. My gym routine's still the same. My diet's still the same. Other than that, like, life has been pretty good, minus not being able to watch some hockey like in real life and pay $17 for a beer. But looking forward to getting to that point when it comes next month.
Yeah, the season's right around the corner, so and we got a taste of the Ducks with the rookies too this week, and you'll have some more games obviously in Arizona, and that's actually where I'm going to be going next week. I won't be actually at the tournament, but I'm going out there. I have some family that lives there, and we've been kind of doing some road trips out there and just kind of hanging out, doing some stuff out of state. So we're going to do that next week, and then other than that, just been working a lot. But yeah, I mean, it's been good lately. I'm excited to see hockey come back. I actually got to interact with the players recently on the golf course. I'll talk a little bit about some updates I got from the team as well. And we'll break those all down and kind of give our feedback. We did a couple fan polls that you guys weighed in on. And it should be a pretty good show, pretty good discussion that we're going to have here with what's going on with the team now and this season and kind of your expectations and whatnot. So I guess we'll start off. The biggest thing with the team right now, they actually reached out to me during the prospect camp when they started out the Great Park Ice, is that they're embracing the rebuild. Officially, the team realizes that it's going to take a few seasons to get back on a winning track. I was also surprised that kind of have more of an open line of communication with some of the people in the Ducks organization. I kind of had that communication there before, but it's gotten a little bit stronger lately, which is good. But I thought it was interesting that the team's admitting that, you know, they can't win now like we talked about, that they're going to have to actually do a rebuild, and that they got to focus on the younger players coming up and trying to get things going. With Solomon now on the team front office, they're going to work on the analytics department, which we all know the Ducks have been lacking in that, and they're looking towards the future of the young players to come up and build up this team. As you know, they re-signed Comtois to 2 years at $4 million, Mahura for 2 years at $1.5 million, and Jones is back for 3 at just under $4 million. That's the total cost of all those contracts. You've also got Lundstrom and Steele back at just under $900,000 for a year. So pretty interesting stuff, Eddie. I mean, the Ducks are loading up on the young guys. They're communicating, you know, which I know that's kind of been a negative point sometimes with some of the fans, but they're reaching out. They're saying that this is the direction. We're going to go with the youth movement. We're going to rebuild. It's going to take a couple seasons. Hang on with us and go for the ride. But what do you think about this? The fact that they're coming out, you know, embracing the rebuild basically, and turning towards the youth. I mean, obviously they did bring back Getzlaf, but they've got all the younger players back in there. They also brought in Tobias Ryder on a PTO. What's your take on this situation? It seems like the fans kind of have a mixed deal when it comes with the Ducks because
communication is key. Like them saying that they're like embracing the rebuild. Thank you. Like that's what we know what was going on, and we wanted to hear that. I just got annoyed when I kept hearing like, "Oh, we're going to be competitive. We're going to be a Stanley Cup team." No, you're not. Like, look what you have on like you just. It's reality. The contracts were all team friendly, great contracts. I think Comtois could have got a little bit like a lot more money than what he did, but if it works for him, it works for him. The contracts were great. I do like the fact that Ducks are communicating more with the fans and the fan base and letting them know what's going on. Murray's finally embracing that whole rebuild concept because it's not going to be easy. It's going to suck. Like the Ducks aren't going to be a good team for a few seasons, and I kind of like that fact sometimes when teams go to that dry spell because you really get those hardcore fans that really like the team, and you weed out the people that just kind of bandwagon and jump on like whoever's hot. So that's one thing I do like. I'm here for the long run. I've been a Ducks fan since '95, even though I'm like 2 years late, but. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be rough. And like I always say, all I want the Ducks is to improve on something. Like next season, I want the power play to improve. Like stop being second to last, dead last. Like at least just be fourth to last, and I'll be like a little bit happy about that. Like just do something different, mold this team differently, and really rely on these young guys. Like these young guys have a lot to offer. Like they have a lot of skill. It's a young man's game. The game has changed. You have to kind of adapt or die. So let the young guys do their thing and build off that. Yeah, Zegras and Drysdale seem like they're going to be the future leaders of this team. Build off them. Still respect the old school mentality. Players like Deslauriers that can really scrap and brawl, but you have to really embrace the young man's game. So.
Yeah, I mean, and you're right. The fact that they're communicating this out there, they know that, hey, we're not going to be a Stanley Cup team this year or next year. They got to work on things. That's huge. I'm with you, too. They were a little bit conservative, I guess, with Zegras and Drysdale, talking about how, hey, their spots aren't guaranteed, coming out of the, in the beginning, which I'm pretty sure they're guaranteed. I mean, but they're probably not trying to pump them up too much, but I see those guys being in there, being in the mix. We've talked about Comtois before and how he's going to be awesome. He was awesome last year, one of the bright stars scoring offensively for the Ducks when there wasn't much of that at all. So that's one area I want to see a lot of improvement in for sure. We saw that Sam Steele was working on his shooting. He was posting some stuff on social media, so he's got some coaching on board with that. He's trying to work on his offensive game. I was happy to see that. And I think you're right. I mean, the Ducks are going with the youth movement. Getzlaf's basically the only real move that they did, I guess you could say, at free agency, right? I mean, not really move. They brought him back. But they're going with these young guys. They're going to try to work on the power play. They brought in all the new coaches. You all know about that. Every coach has been booted or sent down to San Diego instead, other than Dallas Aikens. So they're working on that. I'm with you. The power play, please, dear Lord, don't be last or second to last. Let's get it up there. I'm going to challenge it more. I know you said fourth to last. I want it in the top 20 maybe. It doesn't have to be in the top 10 of the league, but please get it at a respectable level, higher than 10%. I mean, it's just been rough the last couple seasons with the power play. So I'm looking forward to that, and I think people are going to have to ride this season out. You may not be happy that they're not going to be a playoff team. We talked about all this last year. I think this year is a little bit different of a feel. We're getting communications from the media department and from Murray that, hey, this is the issue that's going on. We're trying to get this team where it needs to be. Rome wasn't built in a day. They're not going to be a Stanley Cup team and turn it over this season. Some of you listening are going to be like, well, screw that. I'm not going to watch. I know some of you didn't last season. That's fine. That's your right. Like Eddie said, he's been a fan since '95. You all know I've been a fan since '93, the beginning. We're still going to keep doing our thing and going on this. I'm really looking to this season for the young guys. I'm really excited to see Zegras and Drysdale up there the whole time. I have some other news we'll talk about later with some of the other players too. And I think that this season is going to be a fun season. I know it's tough. You want to look at wins and losses. And I'm trying to preach not to look at that. Like I always joked with one of the media members of the Ducks about, 2 points makes everybody feel better at the end of the night, right? You always want those 2 points. You want to win, get the 2 points, go on to the next night, and that's always the goal. And people are frustrated because of what happened in the last couple seasons. I totally get it. I do think the Ducks did a lot of shakeup, like I said, bringing Solomon in and the coaching staff and whatnot. So I think that there will be improvements this year. And I don't think you can base it on being a Stanley Cup team or a playoff team. And I know some people are going to look at that and they're going to be frustrated with it. I totally understand that. But I think the direction, like Eddie said, is that we need to get different aspects of the game better. The 2 biggest problem areas have been the power play and scoring goals, and that's what we need to work on. Something else that was interesting to me is that the Ducks communicated to me that they still are looking at trades. And I know some of you will roll your eyes and you're like, okay, right. Are they going to bring in a big name player? Are they going to do X, Y, or Z? That's not really what was communicated to me. What my understanding from what the organization is looking at is also keeping with the youth movement, either getting more draft picks or prospect type players is what I was told. Now, they didn't talk about who may be traded or anything like that, but the names that were floated around last year, and I think that these names are still in play this year, would be Raquel, Henrique, and Manson. Obviously those are the big names. One of the issues that came up with Raquel recently was Elliot Freeman had talked about the price of his next contract, and that may be an issue for the Ducks. He may want a certain amount of money, and it may be too high, and that's why the Ducks want to trade him. So I would look at Raquel as a big one. Obviously, Henrique being sent down on waivers, and we all know how all that stuff went down last season, is another one. So I'll pause there, Eddie. It's kind of a lot to digest, but I think the Ducks will still do some stuff this season. What do you think about this? Improving the team and maybe making some trades for more either not future considerations. Hopefully, I know that's your favorite player, but future picks or prospects and moving Raquel, Henrique, Manson, or
I just
one of
text
those,
you right now too, and I really love what you
players, so to
said.
speak.
Rome wasn't built in a day. That just hits the mark right there, and that was probably one of the best lines I've heard to describe what's going on with this team. And fans, listen to that. Rome wasn't built in a day. Go back and rewind and listen to Mike say that again. It's true. It's just you have to embrace what's going to happen. It's just to do something great and build something great, you have to go through adversity. Look at Tampa Bay. They weren't always the team they were. And look at them now. They're a powerhouse team. The Ducks had a lot of years of success, and every year they were one of the top favorites to win the Cup. It's just, unfortunately, they had the playoffs and Game 7 issue. But we have to kind of just embrace it and be good fans and enjoy the team. I do want them to improve, and I'm selfish too. So when I go to games, I want them to actually win those games. But I do want them to not win a lot of games so we can get a higher draft pick next season. But as long as myself or Mike is there, this girl I went on a date with, she's a Ducks fan, thank gosh. So when I take her to a game, I want to see a good win. And hopefully a power play goal. That'd be awesome. But it's just one of those things we have to really embrace it. And I like the fact that the Ducks are more willing to communicate with the fans and communicate with us. Be that teamwork and that networking, it's called. So I'm really glad with that. I'm glad they really just admitted the whole rebuild thing, because that's what it is. It might not sell tickets, it might not boost their revenue, but it is what it is. You have to just embrace it. There's a lot of fans that still love the game. I love hockey. I don't care if the Ducks go 0-82. I'll still cheer for them, and I'll still try to go as many games as I can, because I love the sport. The sport's something to me. It just makes my heart beat, and it makes me, like I said, pay $17 for a beer. But I don't know. It's just one of those things we have to rely on on our youth, and we can just watch this team develop and it'd be something great. I remember when I was stationed in Colorado, I watched Nathan McKinnon, his first season. I watched the Avalanche. I had their worst season in franchise history. But I watched them like practice. I watched how Patrick Wall, when he was the coach, how he molded that team. And look at they are now. Like they're one of the top teams, and they're always favored to win the cup every season right now. And just the skill level they have and the development, it's one of those things that it's just. It was really great to see, like, firsthand. So I'm looking forward to seeing that for the Ducks, and I really hope the Ducks start going that and start molding some future superstars. We have Zegras, we have Comtois, we have Drysdale. Those players could be legitimate superstars in the league and really be a game changer. So I'm looking forward to the ride. Like, I'm front row in the seat, so I'm looking forward to that.
I'm with you. I like that too. Front row for the ride. I agree with you. That's what we're at right now. It's kind of been the way life's been too right now, right? Everything's been a kind of a crazy ride, and I think that's what's going on with this team. And I know some of you were asking questions too, like, well, what else are the Ducks going to do? Instagram, we had Adam Town ask, will the Ducks do anything? We had Johnny Burek, he asked, any news on Gibson? So I don't think anything's going to happen with Gibson so much. I know there was rumors before with Pittsburgh and things like that in the past. I don't see that. I still think Murray believes in him and building the team from there. I think the other issues, like we said, are trying to work on scoring, having your set defensive lines and whatnot. So I'm not really big on people talking about Gibson being traded. I just don't see a lot of validity in that right now. Maybe during the season, if things get really crazy and poor, I don't know, maybe it changes. But one of the things that did come up, again, was Kessler's name. Elliot Freeman talked about him. They said that the Ducks could possibly trade Kessler. Obviously, he has his cap hit and everything going on. He's on the last year of his contract. And the Ducks may move him and maybe take on some kind of contract like a Backus contract so that they could get a pick or a prospect or something like that. So I would keep your eyes there. I don't know if that'll happen. I mean, the Ducks have $13 million in cap space at the time that we're recording the show. They don't really need the Kessler money to go on the LTIR unless they were to go get a big name player, and even then they still would probably have more. So I think that could be a possibility. We know Kessler's done. I know he talked about that again recently, but he had pretty much said that before. We knew he wasn't coming back. And I know some of you still ask us questions. Yes, Kessler is not coming back. Like, that's it. He's done as far as the NHL. He is going to be an assistant coach with the USA Under-18 team, which is good news. I'm glad. I'm excited for him to do that. But that's one thing I would keep the eye on. I don't know what you think about that, Eddie, but the Ducks might try to do that and keep going with this rebuild and building up the future by moving Kessler's contract.
Well, yeah, look at Arizona.
They got $13 million.
Took a few bad contracts, and they got some draft picks, and they're going to build a really solid team in the future. It's going to suck, and especially with their situation with the Glendale Arena, where they don't have a place to play. But that's smart. That's the thing to do. You know you're a bad team. You know it's going to take a couple seasons for you to actually get better. Why not? You have the cap. Why not take bad contracts from other teams? Teams like Tampa Bay that are strapped with cap issues, unless they're gonna put people on IR and activate them in the playoffs. I'm joking about that, but I mean, why not? Let's get as many draft picks as we can, and you never know. You get a first round draft pick, he could be a superstar. You get that 7th round last draft pick, he can turn into a superstar. Look at Andre Casa. Unfortunately, he's dealt with injuries, and he got traded, but still, he still gave us some good years. I think he was a 6th round pick too, Mike. I kind of forgot what round he was. He was a late round pick, but he still gave us some good production in hockey for late of round of a draft pick he was. With Kessler too thing, I do want to say I know I see a lot of fans on social media bashing him, saying he should just retire and he's being selfish because he knows he's not going to play, but he's still going to take the check. Like, why wouldn't you? He signed a contract. Both parties agreed on that. He didn't choose it. It wasn't his choice. Like, hey, raise your hand. Like, I want to be injured. I want to stop playing the game that I love and worked hard to get at. He's collecting, I believe, his rightful money every season he gets. He's done, but he shouldn't retire. He should just he collect that paycheck as long as he can, and then he can call it quits when his contract is over. Just like some fans don't understand that, and they just don't understand the reality of business and money, and that really gets me frustrated. Like, it's weird.
Yeah, I'm with you. Kessler was my favorite player during that time that he played. Once obviously Teemu is, you all know that, it's my favorite. But during that time, especially those last couple seasons, I mean, Kessler is a warrior. I mean, he sacrificed a lot on the line. And if you go back and look at some of those interviews he did, and those contracts are in there for a place. You have your agents that do all these things and whatnot. The Ducks have to pay him because he's. But here's the thing: do you really think Kessler wants to sit on the sideline and just collect a paycheck? I'm telling you right now, that's not the kind of person he is. He absolutely is not. The fact that he can't play, it's devastating for him. It was a pain in the ass for him to get to those 1,000 games. I mean, he talked about this. You go back and watch the stuff that he did and the sacrifices he did. So, them having to pay this stuff, I have no problem with that. And if the Ducks want to move it around and try to get some more youth out of it, he's not going to care. Like you said, he's getting his money. He deserved it. I mean, he kicked ass. He would, if he could be out there on the ice right now, he would. Anybody that says differently, I don't know. I mean, this guy is like Teemu, is just a hard-working guy that left it all out there on the ice. So, if people get upset about that with Kessler, I mean, all right, whatever. But I'm really curious.
I'm sorry to say, but
if
fuck
they're going
him.
to try and make some kind of move.
Hey, you guys don't understand. Like, Kessler's like kind of the player, like you said with Slonny. Like, those players and their mentality and their work ethic, I would love to be in the Army with those kind of people. And I've served in the Army with those kind of people. Just their mentality was just like that. Like, they loved the game. They worked their asses off. Like, just like Slonny, like, he's like one of the greatest, but every day he was just over there working. Kessler, same thing. He's just working. He worked so hard, like, until he couldn't. And I'm sure it took a while for him to realize that, and he was beating himself like up over that, not being able to play the game that he loves and be that warrior that we loved. And he was my favorite player too when he was on the Ducks. Like, once he was playing, like, I loved him. I have 2 jerseys of him, and thankfully he signed both of them. So I'm gonna treasure those forever. But it's just things catch up to you. I guess it's a kid's game, and everyone has their last game. It's just, I really hate to see players not go out on their own terms, but like, for the fans that they get upset because he's collecting a paycheck, like, why not? Like, are you gonna go to work? You're not feeling well. You're sick. You have your PTO. You have your sick time. Are you just gonna volunteer that money? Like, hey, you know what? I'm loyalty. Like, go ahead and walk into Bank of America. Like, hey, I'm sick, but I'm taking a sick day, but you can have the pay. Like, come on, let's get real, people.
Yeah, 100%. I have no problem with them still paying him. That was the contract that they made, and like I said, if he wanted to be out there, he'd be out there. That's just bottom line. So we'll see what happens with that. Like I said, monitor that. Talk about Raquel, Henrique, and Manson. And then another name that came up, I posted some photos of this online, but again, I was at the golf tournament, got to talk to some of the guys and whatnot. And the other player's name that you may think about is Deslauriers that had come up. And I actually got to talk to him, got the lowdown on what really happened on the trade, no trade, all that craziness that happened when Elliot Freeman said there was one, and then it was taken back, and then there wasn't one, and all that. So another name to watch, obviously, this season, as we talked about the other players, is Deslauriers. The trade that was offered was from Pittsburgh for a third-round pick for D'Lo and the Ducks. That is what the deal was that was offered. And as it was explained to me, Murray hadn't given back his official answer yet. And then obviously it fell through. So something happened in there. This part, take it however it is. But somehow Elliot Freeman heard that there was some kind of deal in place. It was not finalized. So somebody leaked it out, and then it didn't go through. So, I don't know if Bob Murray heard it got leaked out and he got mad, or someone else on the Ducks did, or maybe someone on Pittsburgh did and they pulled it back. I don't know. But as far as what I do know is the trade that was going to go down and happen was going to be a third-round pick for D'Lo, Ducks and Penguins. That's what was going to happen, and it ended up not going through. So, obviously Eddie and I, you guys all know, we're still big fans of D'Lo. Yes, he doesn't score a bazillion goals. I get it. Yes, his analytics aren't the best, but we always talk about him being a character guy, being the Anaheim Fight Club leader, right? We've talked about that as well, which has been something that we've hammered home has disappeared in the league or at least gone down. So I would watch him too. Is he one that could be traded this next season? Possibly. If they were able to get a third from him last season, would Murray try and push that and get a third again this season? I don't know. That's another player to watch, Eddie. Obviously, I know how you feel. You don't want him to get moved. We made that shirt for him, which I was able to get him some of the shirts finally, and he loves it. But what's your take on D'Lo? You think that he's another one to watch this season that could be moved?
Oh yeah, definitely. I really hope it doesn't happen. He's my favorite player on the Ducks right now. I love his intensity. I love how every time you see him on the ice, it's 110%. My issue back in the day with Corey Perry, and I know some people are going to get upset. He rubbed me the wrong way because toward the end, it's like he was like doing a line change. He was just kind of like pacing, or he didn't really back check. It's just or forecheck. I don't know. He just seemed like he was like lazy and didn't give a shit. Deslauriers, every time he's on the ice, it's like 110%. You see that momentum. Like it motivates you. His energy just goes around. Like when I'm watching either live or on TV, it makes me energized too. And I love players like that. It's like, okay, I get it. Like you're on a bad team, you know that, but he still goes out there and he tries 110%. He drops the gloves when needed, when necessary. It's not just like, oh, I'm going to drop the fight. No, I'm going to fight for a reason, to energize the team, energize the crowd. And I love that. He has that skill level. He's not like an enforcer. He's pretty much a great grinder that every team's going to want, especially to compete in the Stanley Cup. Is he going to be on the Ducks all next season? I don't think so at all. I think teams that are going to make the Stanley Cup the playoffs, they're going to want a player like that. They need a player like that. Look at Pat Maroon. He's with Tampa Bay. He goes over there and he grinds it out and he makes teams pay. So it's going to be unfortunate. It sucks, but you know what? I wish him all the best, and I do hope he'll be on the Ducks like past the trade deadline. But I can't see that. I see teams really wanting a player like and needing a player like that if they want to win the Stanley Cup. It's crazy. And sure, he likes the shirt. That's awesome. That is cool. Well, Mike, I do, and I wish I was there with you at that shootout thing. I do want to talk to him about his tattoos and see his tattoos, because I'm a tattoo guy, so it'd be kind of cool to actually divulge and see like up close all his tattoos he has. He has a nice little sleeve, and get the stories where he got it, like why he got it, and stuff like that. I'm a little tattoo. I have a couple tattoos myself, so I kind of like that. We have to get Mike. Mike Walters to do the tattoo.
We'll make it happen. We'll figure out something for sure, especially after this. This is true. If you don't know this, I don't have any tattoos. Okay, we're playing like true confessions now. I don't have any. That's true, and I always thought about getting a Ducks tattoo, and then I thought about the Angels, right? And y'all know I like the Rams, and I'm always like, I don't know, should I get one or not? I don't know. I hate needles. That's the other thing. So I'm not a fan of that. That's my problem. I don't like shots.
Well, let's do it, dude. I love shots and alcohol,
about that, especially in the world today. And I won't. But
I like tattoos. But you know what's so funny? I have
right. That's the kind of shot I like too, right?
And I'm getting put to sleep. I told him I don't care. I'll pay for it. It doesn't matter. I don't care if it just. I have a crown and I have a cavity or two cavities to get done. I don't care. You're putting me to sleep. I'll pay for it. Yeah, that's it. But I think a good Ducks and Pucks tattoo would be cool for you, Mike. I have to talk to Cinnamon, your wife, and maybe she can convince you.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. She's hit me up a few times, so we laugh about it, and I'm just like, yeah. We could probably figure out something, get the logo or something on the shoulder or something. I had to figure out something because with my work, there's certain things we can't.
And if you did that,
so I'd be able
and
to
if
do
you
it.
did that, we have to do it live on the show.
I won't go into more than that.
We'll record while you're getting it. That'd be funny.
That would.
I'll make a TikTok for that.
Instagram,
I don't even know how to use
Facebook,
TikTok
story or whatever.
But I'll make a TikTok for that.
Oh yeah, that would be hilarious. So now you know I don't have a tattoo, folks. If you have suggestions, by the way, you could send us a message on social media.
And don't say Eddie's name. You guys are weird.
Think,
I know some of you guys are.
So
get Eddie's name on your lower back. Come on.
Yeah. No. It's got to be sports themed. Everybody knows I'm a big sports fan, but
you know what?
Oh man,
I might
that's
be
hilarious.
open
What a weird discussion we just went on.
Really want to, and they want to I don't know, contribute to Patreon or donate money to OC Animal Shelter. I might get a fan inspired tattoo. Like, you guys just tell me what to get if you guys donate, and I'll get it. Obviously, I'm not gonna get it on my face or like anywhere it shows. Like, I like to have tattoos where I have a long sleeve shirt on. You can't see them, but within reason, I'll get anything like that. I like tattoos. I like being in the tattoo shop. I don't think about bills, stress, anything. It's just when I'm over there, I think of the needle hitting my arm. It hurts, and everything just goes blank. I'm not thinking about like life. I'm just thinking about that moment. So.
Well, we may have to do that. May have to make a Patreon type thing. By the way, patreon.com/DucksNPucks. You can go on there. We're going to be giving away some game tickets this year again, and gear and other stuff. I got some colored face masks too that I'm going to be giving away, and more. Yeah, jerseys. I got more stuff. I've been going through. I've actually been trying to clean out. Can't believe how much Duck stuff I have. Oh my God. And I know some of you out there, you probably have more than I do. I know I see your photos of your offices and your man caves and like you have garages set up. It's freaking awesome. So, but we have extra stuff, and go on there. We'll be just giving away stuff to people that sign up just randomly. So, all right. So we went on our tattoo tangent. Let's get back to the trade discussion. So like we said, we were talking about Deslauriers is one of them. Another one is Henrique Wright. I ended up talking to him, and Henrique conveyed to me that he likes being on the Ducks. He wants to stay in Anaheim. He doesn't want to be traded. Obviously, all that stuff happened last year, but he was basically put in the doghouse with Murray and Aikens. So that's another name to watch. We're going to talk about our projected lineup here in a minute. The Ducks do have a lot of centers on this team, bringing Getzlaf back, and we'll kind of give what we think how the lineup will go. But that's another one I could see too. I mean, we talked about Raquel and the issue with the money for his next contract. You talk about Deslauriers almost being traded, and now you look at Henrique and you look at the team. I mean, you have Zegras in the mix, Lundstrom in the mix. A center. You have Grant, it's kind of iffy. You have Getzlaf back, at least for this year. I don't know if he's going to pull a Temu and do a contract each year. But I think Henrique is another one.
I hope
to
he
watch.
does. It's not fair for
Eddie,
him.
And another one that
he
can
got
be
put on
traded
waivers. He's not being utilized the way he is. Obviously, his production has dipped, and his contract kind of outweighs that. But it's time to move on. It doesn't seem like he's going to fit the mold of the team. That waivers thing was the ultimate slap. I know a lot of players hate that. It's like you're giving a player for free. That's the ultimate slap in the face. You have to eat up some money and send him somewhere else. Like he has a lot of hockey left in him. He has a lot of production. He could be that solid second line center for a better team, a different team. I think it's time for him to go, and Murray has to just suck that up and eat up some salary. I don't want him to go. I like him. He's great. I think he's one of those players too. He's a warrior. He works hard each and every shift, but it's tarnished and it's toxic now. It's just what happened last season, and it's just one of those things where you have to just bite the bullet and eat that contract and get him out of there. I want to see him to go somewhere and thrive. I want to see more of that best hockey I know he has left in him thrive somewhere. Not with LA or San Jose or Minnesota, those three teams, but like anywhere else would be great.
Yeah, I'm with you on that too. I mean, it's like I know he wants to stay on the team. He likes the guys. He's all in and everything. But you get that bad taste in your mouth of being put on waivers, and then remember he was benched here and there. So this season, I hope that they give him the full extent of the playing ability. And if they're not, then I'm with you. Then okay, fine, move him and get somebody else. And we'll talk about the lineup in a little bit, but we'll see how that situation unfolds. So that's another name, obviously, to watch. I did get a chance to talk to Silfverberg. You all remember he had hip surgery. You remember they delayed it. We found out later on that he'd been dealing with it for like over a year, right? And then he went out on that. The good news with Silfverberg, he tells me this surgery was perfect. He's 100%, and he's up and running, ready to start the season, which is going to be good because he was one of the ones last year that a lot of people were disappointed in, but we didn't have the full story about what was going on with him. Not making excuses for him, but he had those hip issues, and I'm really curious to see how he does because obviously we saw Kessler go through this stuff. Not quite the same thing, obviously. Kessler's was worse, but I really want to keep an eye on Silfverberg this season and
hopefully
see how he does. Hopefully his offensive game picks up.
It should. There's really no pressure once they went on record saying that it's a full rebuild and this team's they're committed to that. Like you don't have to go to each and every season like knowing that you have to try to like overly play and be something and try to like force the team to be something different. It's one of those things where they can just go out there and play the game and play to their own skill level, and hopefully the coaching staff will let them play to their best abilities and they can do something different. It's been a bad 2 seasons, and the power play, special teams, I'm like inclined to say, don't let the coaching influence any special teams. Just let the players go out there and do their thing. They each have individual talents. They got them over here and got them to the NHL and where they're at right now. Obviously, it seems like they're not like playing to that potential, and they're playing to whatever the coaches tell them to. So I just want them to, and especially Raquel. Raquel's a talented player, and I know he has a lot more hockey left. I know he has a lot more goals to score. He could be a top player. I hope that just this whole rebuild process like gives that like pressure off his back, and he just goes out there and plays the game, and he starts scoring more again, and everyone can stop saying about the whole like marriage curse and stuff like that, and we can move forward and improve this team.
Yeah, and that's what's going to be interesting. Trying to figure out this lineup, like you're saying with Raquel and whatnot. I mean, we can kind of break this down a little bit, and then we'll talk about how the Ducks did in their first, I guess you say, rookie tournament game. But kind of looking at the lineup here right now, as you're talking about, I still think Comtois, Zegras, and Terry is that line that we saw last season that had gelled, and I would like to see that again coming up. And then I think the issue with the Ducks is, you got Raquel, you want to see him take a step back up, right? He was on fire for a while, like you said. He kind of went down a little bit. Obviously, Silfverberg coming back from his surgery. Want to see him pick up his game. But the Ducks got to figure out at the center position what they want to do because you have Zegras, Henrique, Getzlaf, Steele, Lundstrom, Grant. I mean, you've got an abundance of centers right now. Obviously, these guys can play wing too, so the Ducks really have to figure out the forward lineup, in my opinion, and it starts at the center position. What are you going to do if you keep Comtois, Zegras, and Terry together? That's one line. And then you got to figure out what are the next 2 lines. Is it going to be something where you have Steele shift over to wing and you have like a Steele Getzlaf Raquel line, and then maybe you have Lundstrom and Silfverberg along with like Milano or Volkov, something like that. I mean, that's what I'm really curious to see is how they're going to figure out that second and third, so to speak, forward lines. The fourth line, probably going to be something of Grant, Deslauriers, and Jones, something like that. Or maybe they bounce Henrique or Getzlaf down there. I mean, we kind of saw some of that last season too. So it's kind of a good problem, I guess. The Ducks have an abundance of centers. So I really think that's how this lineup is going to shake out, barring any other guys making the lineup, any of the other prospects. And we'll get to them in a minute. But What do you think, Eddie? In terms of the forwards, I'm really curious to see how the lineup goes because, like I said, outside of Comtois, Zegras, and Terry, for me, I don't really have a set line like, oh, it should be this line or that line because Henrique and Getzlaf can both play center and wing. Steele and Lundstrom can play center and wing. Grant can play center and wing. Obviously, I think Lundstrom, Getzlaf, and Henrique are more accustomed to the center position, but there is some flexibility here. So I don't know. I'm really kind of curious to see what the forward
I'm looking at his lineup too. I'm like,
Ducks on
holy
opening
shit!
night.
Like Getzlaf and Deslauriers are like the last two like surviving members of a kind of that old school mentality that in your face shut down hockey. Comtois, I love his play too because he brings that physical element to the game, but he's a top player. You can't expect him to drop the gloves every night. You can't expect him to lay it down every single night with hard hits, but wow, like it's just gonna be Mike, the whole game has changed. It's different now. It's crazy. I'm looking at this roster too. It's like, holy crap. Getzlaf is like probably gonna be the last person to go. Deslauriers, once he's gone, I think he'll be traded this season. Like there's teams, like I told you, there's teams are gonna want his services like for the playoffs. And then it's like we're not gonna watch that thriving like physical hockey. It should be more skill, which is fine. It's cool, but like I like that physical aspect of it. I like the hard hitting. I like the fights. Like I played beer league. I played hockey back in the day, and I was never a good hockey player. I brought that physical stuff into it, so I understand like that aspect of the game. But it's crazy to see that gets off on that second line. I still think, and I said it before, like Henrique doesn't fit in this lineup anymore. He doesn't fit the mold of the team, and it's not fair for him just to throw him wherever, like on the second line, third line, fourth line. It's not fair anymore. Eat up the contract, trade him, let him thrive somewhere else. Hopefully not a Western team, but yeah, it's crazy how the game has changed so much, and I'm seeing this lineup. But our top lines though, that's going to be gold. And I still, next season, Mike, I don't know who is your player to watch and who's going to have a thriving season, but I'm still sold on Terry. I know last year I said Sam Steele. Fortunately, I was wrong about that, but I think Terry is really skilled. He's more skilled than people think he is, and once he gets his groove and his fire, he's going to be a dangerous player. He could possibly be a superstar too. Like that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I'm with you too. I think of the young guys, which I mean, almost all this forward lineup is young guys, like you talked about. Other than Getzlaf and Deslauriers, the rest of the lineup is pretty much younger players. I think Terry is the one to watch of that kind of newer group to see if he takes off. Of course, everyone's going to be watching Zegras. We already know that. Players to rebound next season, I'm hoping Raquel and Silfverberg, and also Milano to an extent. You remember he had to go out with some injuries, and we were really excited about him. So I think Terry's the one that maybe has the bigger breakout, like you said. And then I'm looking for Raquel, Silfverberg, and Milano to come back strong. Steele, I'm a little down on Steele. I know he's working on his shot. He brought in the other coach, and he's doing all these things. I think he's still going to improve. I just don't know. He's just gone a little bit slower than we thought. So that's kind of where I'm at. But I'm with you on the Henrique thing. You're looking at these lineup with the centers and everything. It looks like Zegras, Getzlaf, and Lundstrom would be your top three centers going into the season. Maybe Steele goes on the fourth line. You can shift over Grant to the wing and whatnot. So they're going to have to look at that and see how it's going to play out. But you're right. You look at the forwards. It's crazy to see the youth in this lineup and this part. So it's going to be exciting. I just hope Comtois, Zegras, and Terry lead the way. I think you go from there. You're good. Then you got to figure out who your other two centers are going to be for those quote unquote second and third lines. and then you can build it out from there. But like I said, this is a good problem to have. The Ducks have plenty of youth in the forwards, and they've got more forwards. Like I said, they brought in Tobias Ryder as well in a PTO. I don't know if he stays on the team or if he squeezes in this lineup somehow. I don't think that he does. He was with Buffalo last year. He had 5 goals in 44 games. He was with Calgary the year before and had 4 goals. And he did good when he first came into the season. He was with Arizona in the beginning, and the Kings for a little bit. But, he had in the teens for his goals. He had 13, 14, 16, and 12 goals, respectively, in his first 4 seasons. So I don't know if he finds his scoring touch or he gets a chance and he squeezes in here too. So I really think it's just a matter of, and we've talked about this too, is chemistry too, right? Comtois, Zegras, Terry, really good chemistry. I think if they can find a good chemistry for basically the top 9 forwards in this team, then the Ducks can make some damage. And if they got the guys back healthy, like I said, with Milano and Silfverberg. So I'm kind of excited. I want to see how the forward lineup shakes out. Now, the fourth line will kind of be whatever the fourth line is, but you have Jones and Deslauriers that are energy guys. I don't know how it's going to shake out, but if they can get something going and get at least a couple of the lines together. They have
a lot more work to do.
This could be a dangerous team offensively.
You can't win a championship. You can't win that many games with the lineup you have unless everyone really steps up to their full potential. And that's hard to ask for anyone. You can't accept that. They're professional athletes. They have they're hockey players. They have some games that they're going to be off. Some games they're going to be on. But like you said, too, chemistry is going to be the right thing. The PTO of Tobias Ryder, he doesn't seem to fit the mold. He doesn't seem to fit in the area of this team for the Ducks, maybe San Diego. But I think he still has more hockey left not to be in AHL, and he can go on a different PTO and make a lineup of different other teams. I wonder if Murray brought him in to kind of scare the new guys. And he said that no roster spot is guaranteed, so you bring someone else that's been in the league for a while, that had success, that might be wanting to prove himself and have that last few years of the great hockey he can play, and make these young guys step up. Like, okay, this guy can take my spot. Let me play better. Let me do that. Instead of going 100% in practice, I'll go 110% and prove my worth and prove that I really should be here. I don't know if that's the case, but I really can't see the PTO of him kind of helping this team or fitting the mold of this team.
No, I'm with you. That's a good point. Coaches do that. Sometimes they bring in a guy to try to motivate the other guys, and then maybe he doesn't sign the PTO, or maybe he goes down to the goal. So that is definitely something to watch and see what happens with him. The rest of the team, it's pretty much, it seems, ironed out. I mean, you look at defense, you've got Lindholm and Manson, Fowler and Shattenkirk, Drysdale, and then it's really after that. I mean, who's going to be your 6th and 7th guys? You have Larson, Gooley, Mahura's back. Cody Curran might finally squeeze in there. So, on defense, for the Ducks, it really comes down to, I guess, who's going to be the 6th and 7th guy, Eddie. It's not really as much of a mystery on the blue line for this team, and obviously Gibson and Net. So, they're going to have to step up. Like you said, you can't just rely on the forwards and hopefully get all the scoring. But I like what the Ducks have on the blue line and Gibson and Net. So I think that part of the game I'm not too stressed about. I don't know who will make those last couple spots, though, on the blue line. We had some guys do really awesome, too, in this. I know it's the rookie tournament, it's the first game, but they're looking good there. We had some other guys that might squeeze in the forwards, too. We've been talking about the abundance there. The Ducks won that first game 8-4. They jumped out to a 3-0 lead. Pasterzoff with a hat trick. Perreault with 2 goals. McTavish coming up. He's looking solid. He had a bomb goal on the power play, which was great. Zegras obviously starting the game off, so which we know he should be in the lineup, obviously. But it's going to be interesting to see which guys can possibly squeeze in out of these rookies, either in the forwards or on defense, Eddie. That's where you really have to look at this lineup and see. It's still early. We still got a couple weeks of the rookie tournament and then preseason and whatnot. But it's definitely a youth movement in Anaheim. We've talked about this last couple seasons. The team is officially embracing that, thank God. There's no more mystery with that. And I'm excited. I want to see, looking at this, like we said, you want those 2 points every night. You want to be a playoff contending team. I get it. I don't know if that's really a realistic approach at this season. But looking at the development of these younger players on both sides of the ice, I'm excited. There's a lot of good young talent on this team. It's just a matter, I think, of them getting it together and putting it forth on the ice, and then, like we said, becoming a solid product year in and year out again, like we were used to. So I don't know what your thoughts on the blue line are, Eddie, and any of the other younger guys coming up, or anything with this rookie tournament. They're looking good. Of course, it's just one game and it's prospects against prospects, but the future's bright for the team.
Yeah, I really hope they give Drysdale more responsibility, more minutes, and bump him up. It's going to be unfortunate because one of our players that we've had for many years, the Lindholm, the Manson, the Fowler, they have to go down, but you have to give this kid the minutes that he deserves. He played great last season. I was surprised. I thought he needed 1 year of conditioning. He came into the NHL. He just looked like a seasoned vet. The way he moves, the way he skates, I love it. And I think that he should have more responsibility, more playing time. Give him on the power play. Just let him eat the minutes so he can develop and be that great player. You never know what you have. You can have the next Scott Niedermayer kind of player. It just the way he played his first season, he just was comfortable. I love to see it. He didn't have any jitters. You watched him skate. It was like, holy shit, this kid's not a rookie. He's awesome. So I want to see him on, maybe the top line, if not top 4. But if I was making decisions, I would put him on the top line. Just, hey, you know what? You want to build off Zegras for the offense, and he's going to be your next stepping stone to rebuild this whole team. Well, we need someone that do that for the blue line. I think Drysdale is that player. And I want to see him more minutes and more of a role with the Ducks and kind of develop that leader in him. So that's what I want to see. The whole thing was Larson, Guhle, and Mahura. I think Guhle has I think he's probably the top favorite to hopefully break out. But those 3 players are going to be battling for spots. You have to outdo the other guy. You have to work. If these 3 guys want to make the team and want to make a spot each and every night, they have to start working 3 months ago. You have to really prove your worth. And who knows? Maybe some of these players have been working harder than the other, or maybe they develop better and they're going to come up and they might be a sleeper and a shocker. That's going to be rare, but it'd be cool to see if one of those players of Larson, Guhle, and Mahura just come out next season and find their way in the lineup and move up in the depth chart.
Yeah, and I'm with you too. You were talking about Drysdale and them giving him more time and space and letting him roll. For sure, I think he should play top 4 minutes. Shattenkirk kind of dropped off a little bit last year. If Shattenkirk's minutes go down and Drysdale's goes up, I don't think a lot of people are going to be upset with that. I think, give him more reign. And I didn't mention it earlier in the show, but they are giving Zegras more room to do stuff too and be more creative and go out there and do his thing. And I think that's part of what I want to watch this season is if the reins are loosened a little bit on some of these younger guys and they're out there able to have fun and do their thing. I think it's going to be a fun and exciting season to watch. So really curious to see who squeezes in on there too, like you talked about, and also how much they give Zegras and Drysdale on the ice, with their playing time and letting them be them, basically. So we did ask you guys what you thought about next season. We put out a poll question, and we broke it down on Twitter by first and second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, or seventh and eighth. And a majority of you said that they would finish 7th or 8th. 41% of you. 34% said 5th or 6th. That's what I'm thinking, 5th or 6th. Kind of like I thought about last year. 18% 3rd or 4th, and then 7% said 1st or 2nd. Any thoughts on that, Eddie? I'm thinking.
I think it'll be second to last.
What are you thinking where the Ducks will finish?
The reality of it, I can't see them finishing more than that. Kings improved. I know that they're still a rebuilding team. but they actually got some solid additions to their team. So they'll improve. The Sharks, it's a big shit show over there with the Evander Kane situation and all the off ice like stuff they have to go through. It's going to affect the chemistry of their team, and I can't see them beating the Ducks in the standings in the Pacific. Which I'm glad. The Sharks are screw them. I don't care. I hope they're like negative last if that's possible. Maybe in a different multiverse. I've been watching a lot of Marvel movies, but no, I hope they. I just hope they tank it, and the whole situation over there. It's a big gong show. So, but I can't see the Ducks making the playoffs. Obviously, they won't make the playoffs. I can't see them being in the cusp of making the playoffs. I see them second to last Pacific, maybe bottom. I think it's fair to say bottom 4, maybe bottom 3 team in the league, which is not bad. Like, you get a big draft pick and a rebuilding team, so you have to have that expectation for that. Like I said before, all I want them to do is improve from last season. I want them to do something and show us like the improvement and show us like the whole development. That's what I really want, including the power play. Like, do something with the power play. I told you before, bring one of the fans down on the ice and let them shoot on the power play because, damn, it's been terrible.
Yeah, we've talked about the special teams is definitely something the Ducks have to improve, and then the offense as well. So I'm with you though. I'm not worried about the results in terms of the standings at the end of the season. It's about the special teams. It's about the scoring. It's about the chemistry. It's about the development of the young players and them going out there and having fun and doing what they do best. So that's what we want to watch for this season. We're getting towards the end here. We'll talk a little bit about, I guess, kind of league news, but stuff related to the Ducks still with some trades and signings and kind of things going on with former players. But, we've talked about Eichel a lot. If you didn't hear the latest, is that he changed agents. So, of course, people are now wondering about that because his agent represents Zegras and Fowler and a couple other Ducks players. We had a couple questions about him on Instagram as well. So, again, is he going to come to the Ducks and whatnot? Based upon everything that I've seen in the last couple weeks and what's been communicated to me directly, I don't think Eichel comes to Anaheim. I really think, the Ducks were in the mix, yes. Could it still happen? Possibly. But with what I've seen and everything now recently, I almost think it's a guaranteed no that he's not going to come to the team. You talk about San Jose and the shit show over there with Evander Kane and all that. Well, this Eichel situation is a shit show in Buffalo, completely mishandled. Obviously, he changed his agent for a reason. Trying to figure out his medical stuff, which is actually the most important thing. Whether he plays on Buffalo, Anaheim, or any team, that's secondary. They need to take care of the issues he has and figure out what treatment or surgery is the right answer, which they've obviously not come to a conclusion on, and it's frustrating for him because this stuff should have been done already, and here we are on the cusp of the season. So that's another problem because even if you do go out and try and get him, he's not going to be ready for the beginning of the season, it looks like at this point. So I don't think he comes to Anaheim in terms of that. The other thing that came up that was interesting is Eric Stevens had talked about Manson and a trade with Winnipeg last season. We talked about him, Henrique, and Wright, the big three last season. And it was funny because Eric Stevens talked about it being out there, then it was rejected and all this stuff. And then we find out that it didn't happen. Kind of interesting. Eric's usually not wrong. You know what I mean? He very seldomly makes mistakes. But I thought that was interesting. They said that there wasn't a trade in place with Winnipeg. I thought more that maybe something was happening with Carolina because we talked about that whole deal with the Ducks moving Hakanpää and all that. So I think that was more of what was going on, and the Ducks didn't want to go to Carolina because they weren't getting the return that they wanted. That's the other issue in these trades is the Ducks want a first-round pick. They wanted other things. Some felt they were asking too much for Raquel and Manson, and those didn't work out. So I obviously still keep an eye out on Manson too this season. He's one to watch. But as far as Eichel goes, Eddie, I just don't. I don't know if he goes to any team at this point.
Yeah, with Manson too. Like Manson,
for him,
he brings that old school mentality too. He's one of those in your face defensemen. He's one of those players where if you go to the boards with the puck and you see him coming, it's gonna hurt. It's gonna suck. And if I was another team trying to win a Stanley Cup, I want a player like that. I think he can fetch the first round. I think he's worth it. I think a player, obviously his production last few seasons hasn't been up to par. And when you really sit down to it on paper, he's not like a first round draft pick kind of player, but he brings more of the element that you need to win the playoffs and win the Stanley Cup to the game. He's a player that you really desperately need. Him and Deslauriers, those role players, those character players, you need them. Tampa Bay wouldn't have won without those bottom players. Yeah, they have a lot of talent. Kucherov and Vasilevsky are just unreal, and they're legitimate superstars, top players in the world. But they need those bottom row guys. They need those physicality guys. They need those shutdown defensemen to help them to create the open space and give them that time to make the moves that they usually do, or make the saves, or on defense force them wide, or make an offensive player from the other team kind of think twice. If I'm going against Manson and I'm on offense, I'm going to think twice. This guy's going to freaking hit me and it's going to hurt. So I can't do my normal stuff. I see a different defenseman that's less physical. I'd say, okay, I can do a little move. I can gamble a little bit. The puck between my legs. I can do a little spin. Player like Manson, you do anything like that, he's going to crack the hell out of you and it's going to hurt like hell. You go to the boards, someone like Manson, you're going to get your face in the boards. So it's I hope he doesn't get traded, because he is my favorite defenseman from the Ducks. I love his skill. I love his style of play. I like it. It's awesome. But if I was another team, I'd be trying to get him, Deslauriers, those two. If they're, I'll be surprised if they're Ducks come trade deadline. I said that before about Denton Heinen. Obviously, he didn't get traded. They tried to trade him. They weren't utilizing him. But I think those two players are recipes for a Stanley Cup, and you need those kind of players to win a Stanley Cup.
Oh, I agree. And Manson's a fun guy. I was talking to him too. You talk about how he hits people and plays that harder style hockey like we talked about in Deslauriers. And it was funny. We ended up asking him who he thought on the other side of the ice, who was the most difficult player to play against, and he actually said Connor McDavid. He said that going against him with his speed and skill, and that you'd need two guys on the ice almost any time going against him. So I thought that was pretty interesting. He gave high praise to him. He also talked about Sidney Crosby. I know a lot of people don't like Crosby, but he mentioned he's another one that's a skilled guy. That's a pain in the butt, which, of course, I like the Penguins too. I know you can all boo me right now, but that's my other team. So I thought that was, pretty cool of him to give those guys high praise. I mean, obviously we don't like the Oilers, right, Eddie? And we always bring up the comeback on Catella, which we just had the anniversary of, which we love to rub in their faces. But at least, like you said, his game is awesome, and he has a respect for the other players.
See, I don't get the whole hate with Crosby. I know he had
that he goes against
bitching and crying when he first came in, but he's a phenomenal player. He's everything a professional athlete should be. The skill wise, on the ice, off the ice, it's you never see any negative thing with Crosby. It's always positive. I think he's he's going to be the new generation next Gretzky. He's going to be one of those players that's will be one of the greatest. And he was almost a Duck. If the little ball went the other way, the Penguins could have had Bobby Ryan, and Ducks could have had Sidney Crosby. And I think a lot of fans would have been different for that. But I think he's a pillar of the game, and I love it. And Connor McDavid too is his predecessor. He's over there. That dude is skilled. That kid can fly. And just the way he moves the puck, I watch him. I just I can't even fathom how he skates, how he moves the puck, how he shoots, everything. It's so surreal. I play beer league. I play on Wednesdays. It's an intermediate league. It's the highest league I play in, and I watch the guys that play, and they're freaking skilled. They're the stuff they do. My buddy Frankie did the Michigan. So they pissed him off by slashing him, and he goes and does the Michigan. Dude, I can't even do that with the puck. I can barely freaking shoot. Yeah, I can skate. I skate decently. I skate well, but it's the stuff they do with the puck. And players like Crosby, McDavid, McKinnon. McKinnon too is I love McKinnon because I watched him practice and how hard that kid is a workhorse, and he just. all he wants to do is get better and better. If he's the best, he's gonna want to get better. Like McKinnon is probably he's probably my favorite athlete in the whole entire league. Just watching him develop and how he trains, and he wants to be the best. And when he's the best, he wants better. And when he's better, he wants better. And that's the kind of player that I love and I gravitate toward it. I like that a lot. So.
No, I'm with you. Yeah, McKinnon's outstanding, and yeah, I mean, even though McDavid's on Edmonton, we give him crap. I mean, dude, you got to respect this game. I mean, that guy is ridiculous. And same thing. Yes, Crosby did some diving
and 3 cups
and
too. He has
that,
3 cups.
He's a phenomenal player too. So that's another thing too, right? I mean, it is what it is, right? So. I just like that. It was kind of cool to hear Manson talk about that and his respect for the game and the other players and whatnot. It just kind of gave me another perspective of him that I hadn't seen before. So I thought that was really cool and very interesting. So, some former Ducks were in the news too. We found out that Backus signed a 1-day deal with St. Louis and then retired. And then Carter Rowney, also he was dealing with injuries and whatnot. He came back and he's got a 1-year deal with Detroit. So that's kind of where they're at. Coming up on the season, we do know that the league's going to do the Olympics as of now. Not really a big deal to me. I don't know. I don't really have much to say about it, Eddie, as far as that. If you want to chime in on there as far as that. But they could change it, they're saying, too. It depends on what's going on, because they're not going to get political. But, there's all kinds of crazy stuff going on in the world. So there's some people that saying that we shouldn't do it because of all the stuff going on. And I don't know. In general, take out the political crap. I'm not really a big fan of the Olympics with hockey. I don't like it because I don't like how they have to alter the schedule. And then you also have players that won't want to go do it because they'll get injured and it screws up the season for the team. I don't know. I used to really be a big fan of the Olympics, and I'm not as much anymore, at least in terms with the NHL.
Yeah, same here. I totally agree with you on that. I like the Olympics. I like watching hockey. I don't think it should be NHL players. I want to go back to the amateur players, the players that can prove themselves. I think it's too much to risk when you have NHL players and injury. Like what if the Ducks were like that contending team, and what if someone like Zegras gets injured and that's it, they're done? It's not worth it. Yeah, the gold medal and playing for your country is like the ultimate thing, and I get that. I served my country, and I have that pride, and I love America. I love like what I did, but it just the athletes to the Olympics. I don't know. I guess I'm torn on it. I wish it was all amateur players and not pro players, but I guess some of the players want to go, and the league agreed on that. I hope no one gets hurt, and I hope I don't know. My question, Mike, too, a random question. If you take out USA and Canada, which team are you rooting for?
Okay. As far as in the Olympics with hockey, if you take out USA and Canada, I guess for me, it would probably be Finland. I think I would go with. I think that would be my team. Just
I'd probably pick Sweden because Gabriel Landeskog.
I would go with, Eddie.
So I'd probably pick that team too. Should be fun. I mean, Canada's stacked. I think Canada's gonna win. Like, they have too many fucking great players. Sorry, I said the F word again. Second time in the show. My bad. I want to blame alcohol, but I'm drinking Coors Light right now, so I really can't blame that.
Damn. You're all good. It's all good. It's all good. I know you're having Coors Light. I'm having a Moscow Mule. I forgot to mention that at the beginning of the show. So that was our drinks. Yeah, our drinks for this one. But you mentioned the F word. Well, this last topic we have on the show is one that Eddie really hates, and I kind of hate. But if you haven't heard, there's going to be ads on jerseys now. As you know, they had the small ads on the helmets. Those are going to be back. And then in the next season after this, they're going to be doing them on the jerseys. We asked you guys what you thought. That was our other fan poll question for the podcast. Almost 40% of you said hell no. And then the rest, it was pretty even, broken up. About 20% for the next three categories of don't care, wanted a lower jersey cost, or no big deal. So kind of weird. You're kind of all over the place. You kind of have a strong almost 40% hell no, and then a kind of a split over there. Eddie and I have a little bit of a different opinion on this. I know Eddie just like hates this outright. I get it. For me, I don't mind it. I don't mind a small logo on the helmet, or maybe one on the jersey. Like, they already have Adidas and Nike and, all those other kind of things. But where I do kind of meet the road with Eddie is what I'm afraid of is you started with one on the helmet. Now there's one on the jersey, and like, are they going to be skating billboards like some of the European leagues? And that's what I'm afraid of. It's like, okay, we opened up this can of worms right here, and I mean, are we going to keep opening it up and bringing out more and more and more? I mean, I don't know, I just like I said, a couple here and there doesn't bother me, but are they going to stop? Is there a limit? Is there a point to this? And I think. I don't know if there will be, Eddie, and then I think it's going to be like you said.
I think hockey was unique before because it was different from all the other major sports. It seems like hockey is kind of like conforming to all the other sports, and they're just kind of like following the leader and trying to do that. I think it's just like disgusting. I'll use that word. Ads on jerseys, like the integrity of a hockey jersey has significance. It's important. When fans wear it, I think it's like a rite of passage or something. You wear that jersey with pride. I go to a bar wearing a jersey and I see another hockey fan. We have that same mentality of like, oh, you're a hockey fan. You're wearing a jersey. It's a pride thing. And they're gonna put ads on it. It's gonna like devalue the face of hockey and jeopardize the integrity of it. And I hate that. I just hate it. Like, yeah, maybe I'm older. I'm 34, so I'm not young. But I'll never conform to that. I'll never agree to that. I'll never wear an ad on a jersey. If I buy a jersey with an ad, I'll take it off, or I'll buy like a place they'll strip it off for me. They're not gonna lower jersey costs. They're gonna increase the price. Inflation. Like, we have to get real, especially if you live in California. All the bullshit that went on in California, yeah, those jerseys are gonna cost you $300 in the near future. But it's just. I think it's a blow to the sport. I think it's bad. I think Brad Wheeler said it too from the Winnipeg Jets. He mentioned that it should jeopardize the integrity of a jersey, and I love what he said. I retweeted it when he said it last 2 seasons ago. It's not a good look for the sport. Hockey was always unique, and it seems like hockey is trying to be like the other sports, basketball, football, baseball, but they're not. Hockey was always different. I fell in love with hockey because it was different, and now it's like one and the same with the other sports, and it's sad to say I'm slowly like losing attraction to the game of hockey because they seem like they want to just kind of conform to football and baseball and all those other sports, and I don't like that at all. But only time will tell. Mike, it's sad to say, like, I'm not sure if I'll be that big of a fan in the next few seasons the way the league is going. The league is like, I think it's trending down. The way the game is played, the way the new advertisements, the way they pick and choose of certain things they want to kind of embrace because they feel like it'd be, I guess, conscious and the world wants. And I don't want that in a team. I want something different. I guess, I don't know, maybe in 2 or 3 years, just stop watching hockey and watch badminton or something. Like, I don't know. Damn.
Yeah, I feel you. I know with the jersey thing, it's kind of annoying. Like you said, you don't, and that's one thing that we do like about hockey is it is unique compared to the other 3 major sports, in the U.S. at least, right? So. You're just gonna have to see what happens. I mean, like I said, it's just gonna be the one on the helmet this year, not a big deal. But then next season, I'm really curious to see what the guidelines are gonna be. So just keep your eyes out for that. But I'm with Eddie too. If they raise the jersey price, then that's gonna be really annoying on top of it too. So we'll see what happens. Like I said, in the following year with what happens with that. and just keep your eyes out on that. Have a couple little quick fan questions. We'll wrap up the show. We had AMF Realtor on Instagram asked if Hunter Drew would take D'Lo's role. I think the answer to that, we probably could have answered it earlier in the show when we talked about Deslauriers and all the trade news. I think the answer to that is no if D'Lo is still on the team. If D'Lo gets traded, then yeah, I could see that. I could see him.
Yeah, you know what, D'Lo too, like, he's probably one of those guys, if he was at the bar and he was just like hitting on my girl or a girl I was with, I probably would think twice about fighting him. That dude's he could fight. Like, holy shit. The way he like swings, and you can just tell his emotions. Like, D'Lo, if you ever want to fight me, I'll just back down, dude. I'll buy you a drink, hit on my girl, like, screw that. But I don't know. I have to see a more Hunter Drew's mentality. Maybe because the league is changing, so the brawlers and the fighters aren't going to be D'Lo's mentality in the next few years, and the fights are going to be different. If you asked me this 5 years ago, I would say absolutely hell no, because the kids are different. Like, I talk to people. I have a few friends that work in law enforcement. I have a few friends that play semi-pro hockey, and I ask them, have you been in a fight? They say no. It's like, what the hell? Like, dude, you're like pretty much the same age as I am. I've been in a lot of fights, unfortunately. I don't like the fighting, but it is what it is. Played hockey, I fought. Where I grew up, I fought. It takes a lot of a person's character. It's like that fight or flight mentality. Like, you get hit in the face, you really know who you are. It's like you're gonna run away or you're gonna go back. So I hope this new generation. I really hope that we can produce some kind of like D'Lo's mentality and keep that grinder rule alive. The enforcer rule unfortunately is dead, I think, in hockey now. There's not really a really big enforcer. Like, Tom Wilson is probably the enforcer, but he has a lot of skill. But people hate him for what he does, which is unfortunate. Like, he plays the game at a high mentality, and he really goes at it. Ryan Reeves is probably the last true enforcer in hockey, and I love Revo. Like, I love his mentality and how he interprets the game. I think the game needs players like that, but in a few seasons, he's gone, and we have no one else. And I think the game is going to be changing. Personally, I think it's for the worse. I think we need those kind of players, but you know, I'm not going to be one of those people. Oh my God, I have to hold on to the past. No, I'm going to embrace the future and embrace the change of the game, even though how much I don't like it. But yeah, it's one of those things where we have to adapt or die, right, Mike? Adapt or die.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, like you said, it is changing. You know, some of those like villain type players to certain people aren't going to be there as much. It's not going to be because of the fighting. You know, you're going to root against those other players because they're scoring on your team. You know, that's kind of more what the league's trying to do, which, I mean, I'm all for the scoring too, but you still want to have that physical play in there, like we've talked about, I don't know, 5 billion times on the show. But, yeah, so we'll see what happens with Hunter Drew. You know, I think a lot of it depends on what happens with D'Lo. So we did have some good news. Personal news. We had Comtois got engaged, so congratulations to him and his fiancée. We did have on Instagram, Jacob Love Stella asked, you know, is he going to be in the slump now? You know, you all hear about the slump, right? They get engaged and all that. I don't think so, though. I don't see that with Comtois. I think he's going to tear it up this season, like I said, especially if he's with Zegras and Terry. So. I just wish him the best.
He's a workhorse.
Great on the ice.
He loves the game. And really, congratulations to him, his beautiful fiance. Like, it's awesome. He does that pro beach hockey a lot. He does a lot of roller hockey. I love how engaged he is. He just like motivates people to do that. Like, that dude's a really good, like really really good guy. We have friends of friends, so we have that kind of connection. But like, every time I see him, he just always admits of a true professional hockey player, but he loves the game. Like, he just, like, every time I see him, it seems like he's a 10-year-old kid playing his first, like minor league, or not minor league, but like lower league hockey, and just the fun he has. Like, he loves the game so much, and I think he's going to be a really pillar to the NHL and what like fans are going to want. And he's going to motivate people to play, and he's just an awesome guy. the whole engagement slump, dude. It's not the engagement slump. It's when they get married. That's when the players usually fall on the Ducks. So we have some time. I'm gonna try to get invited to his bachelor party because I love bachelor parties. And anyone listening, if you have a bachelor party, just invite me because I'm pretty fun at bachelor parties. But yeah, hopefully I can try to get invited to the bachelor party because that'd be cool. But yeah, I think a player like him, he's not gonna get that slump. I think he works hard. He wants to be that great player. He goes in front of the net. He does all those things that players usually don't want to do. He grinds it out, but he's a great player. He has a lot of skill. So he'll be fine.
I agree. He'll be fine. The last question we had is Cole Johnson 29 on Instagram asks, will the Ducks switch to the Mighty Ducks logo? We talked about this before. The reason why I bring it up is the Ducks are going to be throwing out the third orange jersey a lot this season. I think at like 10 or 12 games they are going to have that, so that's going to be something else to look for in this upcoming season. But as far as it being the main one, I don't know. I don't really see the Ducks doing that, Eddie. I think they're just going to stick with the third. I would like to see some kind of old school coloring with it as maybe a third jersey. But I think they're just going to stick with, the old Mighty Ducks logo with the new colors on the third. I think they're going to ride that out for a little bit
same
before
here.
they do anything.
I wish they would.
Change,
I would not want the
future.
old school Ducks logo to be full time. I do love our home and away jerseys. I think they're crisp. They're awesome. I would like the old school Mighty Ducks jersey as a third jersey, so you can just be excited every time they wear it. But I can't see it either. The Ducks sure suck on what they have right now. Disappointed a little bit about the reverse retro jerseys next season, that teams aren't going to be playing with them. The Ducks only had 2 games last season that actually wore them. I think 2 or 3 games, and one of them was away. I'm with you too, Cole. I really wish that Ducks logo was back, the old school maroon jersey. But I wouldn't want it full time. I want a third jersey, just like a retro jersey. I want to see them wear that. I wouldn't want to see it full time. I'm a fan of the jerseys they have right now. I love the D logo. I love the black and white jersey. I love the fact that they're really dark and black for the home jersey. I love that. A lot of people don't, but I do. So hopefully they can do something maybe next season without any logos and have an old school purple Mighty Ducks jersey. We can do that. I said maroon earlier. My bad. Sorry. I had 3 Coors Lights, and it's so bad to say. I might be buzzed off 3 Coors Lights.
I know.
I went to this date. I was on a date. We went bowling last night. Let me reverse. I went to Universal Horror Nights on Thursday, and I had a Captain Morgan, which the only thing to actually have a pint with plastic. So my buddy snuck it into the theme park. So I got drunk last night, inebriated. Apparently I called this girl that I was supposed to have a first date with on Friday, all inebriated, out of my mind. We go on a date tomorrow, or yesterday. It was fine. It was cool, but it's and now I'm getting buzzed off Coors Light. That was my point. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I know I had a different point, but it's I stopped. Pissing him off, but talking about hockey, but yeah. And Cole too, I appreciate your service too. You're a firefighter, dude. You save lives. I appreciate that. So thank you for that.
With that, we're gonna wrap up the show. If you haven't checked it out, go on tpnhockey.com for the shirts that are on there. Join on patreon.com/DucksNPucks. We'll have stuff on there as well. Season's right around the corner. Enjoy all the rookie stuff going on right now. And when the season gets going, we'll hopefully get back on our once a week or once every other week show. So thanks for all the support, and let's go Ducks.